Okay, we'll see who starts hopping on here. I want to start off with the new hammer. What's up, dude? I'm gonna start off with my new rounding hammer that I got from Basterds today. I didn't get it today, but I'm gonna use it today. It's their style rounding hammer, 3 pounds. Not as heavy as some of the ones that I use, but I also got another. I got another cross peen straight on the other side. So the other one that I have is a straight peen and a straight. This is a cross peen and a straight. So I'll sweep that up too. I'll probably end up using that during this live stream as well. And that's a lighter one. The one that I've been using is quite a bit larger. I mean, probably about a pound. So waiting on your 6 pound cross beam. And then, so we'll use those, and probably end up using a turning hammer and the flattening hammer during this. So we're going to forge a Seax today. We're going to forge a Seax. It's not going to be a huge knife. I'm going to turn on all messages. There we go. It's not going to be a huge Seax. It's not going to be like a sword or anything like that. It's going to be kind of like a EDC size. That way it's something that I could sell at one of the shows and it not be a crazy huge project or anything like that. I am working on a sheath for the other Seax that I made, the one for the Viking challenge. Pop y'all off here for a second. By the way, this section of the shop's coming together. So that Seax right there, I'm working on the sheath for it. I've got to do forged textures on these straps that are going to go on either side of this. There's going to be D-rings here and there, a loop that comes over so you can wear it over your shoulder. But we're not going to go crazy and make a bone-handled battle Seax like that. That's the new Mountain Dew from Little Caesars. But put y'all back on here. Like, I am happy that I'm finally getting that other space set up though, because I mean, having all of this shop space with the refrigerator, TV up here, all my extra stuff, having all that shop space and everything is nice to have again. And if you remember, if you ever watched my videos from back in the days, I did all the work in that shop. So all the initial videos and all of that were done in there. All right. I already had a piece of 26C3 cut down, so I'm going to use it to do this. I'm going to have you on background. I'm working on my Basterds. Hell yeah. I already had a piece of 26C3 cut down, so I'm going to use that. We're going to need to manipulate this thing and make it into a full-size knife. But it's going to be EDC size. Something that's pretty chill, not something that would be like overwhelming to carry on you. We got to start off by forging a tip. We're going to start that off by working on the horn with the rounding hammer. And we're going to pinch the tip down so we can kind of mushroom out the tip. We start pinching behind the tip here so that this flares out this way and doesn't create a fish lip. Kind of looks like a Pac-Man mouth. You don't want that. You want it to mushroom out, so once we pull this down, it comes to a nice point. So what we got to do is we got to go through and create a tip and then shift that tip over to one side, and that's going to create our kind of our Seax shape. Now, of course, this is going to have bevels forged into it, but I've got a trick to be able to forge bevels into a Seax profile without it making the Seax profile look all wonky or anything like that. So we'll go through and I'll give y'all explanations as we go. Turn off my dry erase board. So we're going to go through and we're going to forge a point, probably closer to an even point like that, and then we're going to take that and we're going to move it down to one side. So we're going to take this tip, shift it down, and create just a wedge like that. Can you make good rock candy? I mean, I probably could. That's not the type of shop that this is, but I probably could. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to. Can you make good rock candy? Now, we've brought that down, so I have that dome. On this next one, we'll pinch that down and create the tip. So because we're starting with not a huge piece of material, we're going to have to draw everything out and get the height that we want and actually manipulate the steel in all the directions that we want it to go in order to get a decent sized knife out of it, especially for an EDC. Great tip, no pun intended. I like that. What's up, OG? The OG Frenchie. So again, we're working on that tip on the horn. It's nice to be able to do that with the rounding hammer and pinch it down, just make sure you're flipping to each side so that it stays even. I have to move this back over and keep it kind of centered in here. It's going to be cool doing this type of stuff I've got a car show that I'm doing a demo at next week. I mean, who would have ever thought doing a knife making and tool making at a demo at a car show, but this will be pretty cool. It's a good event that we're hosting for Patsy's house, which is it's just a good thing that we have here in this town. Drinking a Pepsi. Work for Pepsi, drinking a Pepsi. All right, let's go ahead and bring this down. Flatten, taper again. Now, we did our point, moved it over to the side. What's up, Steve? What's up, Ron? We are working on a Seax today. So now we have it pulled off to the side. We don't really need to go too crazy with this profile at this point. We'll do all of that as we start moving everything. I need to figure out how much length I need for a handle. I am doing a full thing on this. Bedding I can get away with about 2 3/4 inches pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead, mark that with a little notch right there so that I can start there. So I'm going to do my like little coffin style handle on this because I kind of want to see what that style of handle looks like on a Seax to see if it's actually something that I like. It's the best part about knife making is to be able to just throw the steel in the forge and just kind of work with it while you're actually figuring out what you want. It's one of my favorite parts about all of this. I can just go, I want to make a Seax today. Well, I've got this chunk of steel. I'm going to start forging something and make a thing out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pinch this down. And if you're wondering what type of handle I'm talking about this like little coffin style handle that I do for my chef knives. I'm going to do a version of that on this. Of course, that's one of my chefs that still needs to be heat treated and ground. So this sheath that I'm working on for this Seax, this is probably one of the largest sheaths that I've had to make. And of course, we're just at this point right now, which is just kind of test fitting the actual shape of it and all that. But that sheath right there, that is not a light sword. Let me turn my notifications off so that I'm not. There we go. So that thing is in there. It ain't going nowhere. And I went through and I did little tapers on the welt through there, and then also through here, so that that thing, it fits, because this is going to be carried on the back right here. So it's going to have a D-ring that goes from here, or it's going to be carried kind of however you can carry it. It's going to have a D-ring right here. It's going to have a strap that goes over and connects to a D-ring over here. So there's going to be a D-ring and a D-ring. I'm going to have this like cladding that goes over here that's going to have pins going through it, and right here, and there's going to be pins going through the D-ring straps, I guess you could say. And then I'm going to stitch this whole entire thing here, and then I'm going to dye it and stain it and everything to match the handle that's on there. Of course, that's a wicked handle. That's one of my Viking Seaxes. That right there is what anybody wished they could pick up whenever they're out on battlefield. See, I'm not a big sheath maker, not very good at it, but I'm just good enough at it to make things that look cool. Let's switch tongs to these. Let me just get a better grip. Okay, we're gonna go half on, half off blows on this. create our taper for the front of our handle. Okay, so there's the front of the handle. Did you get a Revolution? OG? Mr. Franchi, did you get a Revolution grinder? Did you make one, get one? So you went from your Grizzly up to that. That's an awesome upgrade. I still have the Grizzly on, I've got it out here because I've been working on stuff on the rolling workbench. I still got the Grizzly on it. I just use it for sharpening. I've got a leather platen on it. That's all I use it for. I've got 600, 800, and 1000 grit belts that I put on it. That's all I use it for. Okay, again, this is my hammer that I just picked up through 2 Basterds. It's their 3-pound rounding hammer. And I'm loving it so far. Loving that thing. I wanted one that was more like their style of hammers because I've got the Mark Ling 2 Basterds collaboration, which is that one right there. And I do like it, but for some reason I like the way their hammers are. The personal preference for where the weight is and how it forges, these are just awesome. Okay, so what we need to do now is just like we forged the tip, we need to get back onto the horn and do another taper. So we got to do another taper using the round side of the hammer. It's going to give us that coffin style. Flat again. So you could easily make a really cool handle based on that. How y'all doing? Say hi back to y'all. But you could easily make a really cool faceted handle doing that without forging this down to create the coffin. Like if you were making a dagger or something like that and you wanted a really cool handle, you could easily follow that same thing that I just did to create that. Oh, and y'all haven't seen this yet. Thank you. But I got my ribbon burner forge. I still got to set up the blower on it. They're sending that to me. But it's by Texas Forges. It's a ribbon burner forge and all that. I'm just waiting on the blower to come in. And of course, I'm redoing this rack right here to be able to house that forge. Sorry, I'm not trying to make y'all zoom like crazy. I took on Texas Forges as a sponsor. Okay, I'm going to try and zoom y'all back out real quick without going too crazy. There we go. Man, it still wants to zoom in. Bastard. But yeah, so I picked up those. I picked up Texas Forges as a channel sponsor. Then, of course, we have 2 Basterds, and then my other signs up here for Texas Farrier Supply. Texas Farrier Supply and Jay Nilsson, of course, the ones that supplied the anvil that I work on. There's the initial shape of the coffin handle, which of course, coffin. I put $10 ceramic glass platen on the revolution. Oh, that's awesome. Works. See, I've got a glass platen. I've had this for my 2x72 for like a year and a half. Still haven't put it on yet. Okay, so we got our coffin handle started. We just need to refine that profile just a little bit. And then we'll switch back over to the blade. So I'm good with this right here. You could do, well, yeah, if you're, that's awesome, do free super chats. So this right here, that is the initial shape of that handle. We're of course going to be modifying it just a little bit if I end up doing a distal taper or something like that. So now we need to switch over and start working on this blade. We need to draw out a little bit of height and some length. We're going to do that with the cross peen and straight peen hammers. But like I said, we need to work on getting just a little bit of height. I don't need much, and then some length. My primary focus on this is the length more than the height, because I'm going to get a little bit of the height by default as I'm forging into bevels. So we're going to start off. I'm going to be using the new little small 2 Basterds cross peen that I have. If y'all don't know this, main channel sponsor, 2 Basterds, Texas Smithy and Supply. They supply all my hammers. It's awesome because I like the shirts and everything too, the whole 2 Basterds logo. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to work on getting height out of it by using the cross peen to grab one of these knives here. So, we're going to use the cross peen right here and pull that down. Can you see your mule ear buoy? Give me 1 second, I'll grab it real quick. We're going to pull that down right there, and then we're going to stretch it out. So, mule, I've got something to tell you about that. Give me 1 second, I'm going to tell you about it. Hold on. Okay. You were like, can I see this thing? Had to go inside and take it off of my EDC pants. So, this is what he's talking about. That's his mule ear buoy. So I EDC'd this for the last two, well, the last hammer in and a show before that. I actually EDC'd this and I showed it off to everybody and they love this thing. The nice thing about having a shit ton of Farrier's rest is I agree with you there. And I definitely have a whole bunch of them. Alright, so now we're going to start working on these bevels here. This thing is screaming hot, so I'm going to let it cool down just a hair and then go ahead and get after it. So we took and drew out a little bit of height on that. Like I said, I don't need this to be a super tall blade because a lot of Seaxes don't have really tall heels to them. Of course, we're going to get a little bit more height out of that. I'm going to switch over to this is my turning hammer by Two Basterds. It's a restored Farrier's hammer, a Heller Farrier's hammer. I'm going to use the smaller round side from that to finish drawing out that heel and thinning it out, and it's going to smooth out a nice plunge line for me as I do that. So I'll get a nice little forged in plunge line. I'll get a nice heel that kind of rounds over. I'll show you one that actually has it there. So it'll give me a heel that kind of rounds over into the edge like that. I'm happy that you got monetized, Doug. That's awesome. Alright, so we're going to take that turning hammer, the round side of it, go down into that heel. Just like that. High back at you. 10 right targets. That is awesome. So we got plenty of height out of that. Don't need any more height. Now what I need to focus on is getting some length. We're going to do that with the straight peen hammer. Let's go with... I'm going to go with the straight flat. And we're going to get ourselves some length. So the difference between the two hammers, of course, this hammer, this is going to give you height. This hammer is going to give you length. So this is going to forge things this way. This is going to forge things this way. For cutting, okay, well, I guess you can use any knife for that. just a harvesting knife. Doesn't really need to be a specific knife for that. Pretty much any type of knife will handle that job for you. But yeah, mule. A lot of people loved this knife. So this is from Mule Power Forge in the comment section. This is a knife that he sent me to let people check out. I love his maker's mark, little mule on there. But yeah, they loved it. They liked the sheath, the blade profile, the size of it, everything. I was showing that off to everybody. Okay, so now let's get some length out of this. I'm forging in bevels while I'm doing this too. If I wanted to forge a buoy, you could easily do that with a Seax, because in order to do a buoy, you just forge a Seax profile and then forge in bevels, and it automatically creates a clip point. Now, of course, we're going to push all that back down, but I wanted that extra length there, so I used the straight peen to draw that out. These go right now. Heck yeah. Pitch on the anvil. Y'all still talking about tannerite? I got a $250 X commission. Whoo, that's gonna be cool. All right, a little bit more stretching. I'm only kind of sort of worried about what happens to the profile. I want y'all to see how wonky this is. Y'all see how wonky that whole thing is? Nothing straight about it. It's all weird and everything. Just watch what happens. As we start going through these steps, it's going to start pulling everything back together. And the whole point behind this is being able to pull y'all back down just a little bit. So the whole point behind this is to not worry about what happens to the steel as you're forging. So don't be worried about trying to fix everything as you go. At this point, I'm not worried about the profile. I already preformed it a little bit, so I gave it a rough shape before I started getting height and length out of it, so that as I do some of that stuff, it's still roughly in the same profile. Now, as I start distal tapering it, thinning it out, and working on the profile, we'll pull everything back together, but I don't care how wonky it gets while I'm doing the material moving process. When I do the profile process, I'll worry about all that. But when we're just in the moving process, we're not worried about what happens to the steel. Okay, so Grab it back out of here again. I'm going to grab that turning hammer by two bastards again. Look at how goofy this looks right now. Absolutely goofy. So, on the next heat, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the cross beam and I'm going to draw everything down. Basically creating height. I'm still like kind of sort of. It always bothers me whenever the screen is weird. y'all in this tannerite, huh? I figured they would be more crazy about y'all having tannerite up there in Canada. Now, of course, I don't know the rules on stuff like that, but I know Canada's real weird about y'all having fun. You can't have that. You better cut that fun out. So then we start correcting the profile. He said, it's restricted and we need to do paperwork and have a license. Of course you do. Yeah, it's wild. The amount of fun they don't like y'all having up there in Canada. Once I get this kind of, the bevels kind of where I want them and everything like that, I'm going to go through and probably do a shorter fuller on it. We'll use the guillotine to do that. I think it'll look cool on a brute and forge knife. The thing about doing the fuller though is we got to get this thing about 99% done, well 95% done before we do the fuller. Let's grab, we'll use the turning hammer. We'll finalize the bevels and everything with that. might be wondering why it's cooling down so fast, and a lot of that's just because of where I have the fan positioned to blow nice air. Let's see here. Do I have a hunting knife? Yeah, I've got hunting knives on my website, theriversexperience.com. Nap time for a little one. So it's nap time for me. I feel that. A sheath for the collaboration build with Jay Millison. That knife turned out awesome, by the way. Now I'm leaving this little dip back here because whenever I put in that fuller, it's going to extend all of that out. I must scrub the heck out of it on this next one. If y'all don't have one of these, you can get them. Texas Farrier Supply. This is a steel handle version of it, so that you can actually grab it like this and scrub it, or just push it like this instead of having to use it like this. You can actually scoot it across and throw the scale that way as opposed to into yourself. Eric Rivers. So it's Eric Rivers. E-R-I-C-K. It's like E-Rick. I mean, I can't show you my most beautiful one because, of course, all my most beautiful ones have sold. But this is probably one of my favorites. This is the one that I'm working on the sheath for right now. So this is a big Seax. It's forged. It's got a forged fuller. It's not ground in. It's forged. And then bone handle with the full bone going all the way up to the 100-year-old wrought iron with the little design all the way around it. And then, of course, etched deep so you can see all the striations. And then I actually hand drew and then scribed away and etched this. This is not a stencil. Same thing for that. That's my actual writing in runes. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. Okay, get this out of here. All right, scrub, scrub, scrub. Watch out to catch it. hop back over to the handle. We're going to finalize the profile of the handle, and then we're going to go ahead and do the fuller, and then we'll finalize the blade. You want to do it in that order because once we get that fuller in there, we don't need to mess with a bunch of stuff. And if I'm going to be holding on to it and moving the last bit of the material on the handle, I don't want any of the finalized parts being done. So I want to get that handle just tapered and cleaned up so that I can grab it from that side. I can do the fullers, which is going to modify the profile a little bit. And then, because if you're pinching material anywhere, it's going to change the overall profile. So I got to do the fuller, and then I'll clean up the rest of the blade. Right now we're heating up the handle. All I'm going to do on the handle is I'm going to use the 2 Basterds turning hammer, and I'm just going to slightly taper it and stretch it out just a hair, and then work on the profile as we go. So we just distal tapered it out a little bit. Heat it back up. So what I'm doing to do that is I'm using the round side to pinch it, and then the flat side to flatten it back down. But I'm doing a lot of the main hits, the big dents, with pinching that down as we go and thinning it out, and then I'm flattening it and correcting it. But instead of using the flat side to do it all, I'm using that round side to just punch it down, and then I'm flattening everything and messing with the profile. The whole point behind that is instead of using I could use a straight peen and stretch it out, but I really don't want those big linear dents in there. I really want to hit more towards the inside of it, push that down, and then flatten the edge around it, kind of creating an I-beam, flatten the edge to pull it out so that I don't risk putting a dent that's going to go all the way across and then I got to fix it later. We're using the flat side now. Planishing the handle at this point. So I'm good with the handle right there. I'll straighten it out a little bit, but you can see we go up to that distal on there. You can see that I brought it all the way up into where the ricasso area. So the handle's flat all the way up into this area here. Both sides, handle flat all the way up into this area. The dull area right there is where it goes into the blade. So all the ricasso up to the plunges is all even as you go down. Now I'm going to pinch here with the fullering tool and bring that out. So, put that down in there. Now, one of the cool things that we can do is we can actually tighten this set screw down. So, let's make sure which one this is. It's this one. The difference between this anvil right here, so this is the Texas Farrier Supply and Jay Nielsen from Forge and Fire. This is their anvil. The difference between this anvil and a lot of other anvils is there's actually a set screw right here on the side that lets you lock this down. That's in there. And I can lift the anvil up with it. So it's not going to wobble around or anything like that. So that's cool. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead, use that tool, and do this forward. We're not going to use one of our fancy hammers. Well, I say that. I'm going to use a fancy hammer. It's this one. But it's not like one of my little two Basterds hammers. We're going to put it in here. It's going to pinch. This is a top die right here. So we're going to pinch the steel and create a divot, that fuller. Set it once, get back into where it's at, do it again. Don't go too crazy with this as you start it. We got that little line that's right there. We're going to heat it back up, do that again. Once we know we have our little groove set up, then I'll put it in there and I'll just start tapping on the top of it and we'll smooth it out. It was traumatized. The spider. I had one jump out that was on here too. But you have huge bugs. So we get lots of spiders around here. I've got spiders probably attached to every single thing. We got a lot of brown recluses and a lot of black widows. Good old Texas. Now we start seeing that fuller right there a little bit more. We're just going to keep going. This next one, I'm going to come from the other side. So on this next heat, I'm going to come over here, put it in there, and hit it. That way we kind of stay even. And then what I'm going to end up doing, because this has a slight distal taper, I'm going to end up hammering more on one side at a certain point so that I can actually do the dent down that distal taper. So basically the blade tapers to the tip. So it's going to put bigger dents where it's wider right here than down here. So at a point I'm going to have to hit more towards here on this side of the die. I have no clue what these are made out of, Steve, to be honest. This is a setup that I got off of Etsy. Really cool people, but yeah, I have no clue what they're made out of. Probably like 4140 or A3 or something like that. Make sure you get back into your little groove. Like trying to see where the best light to be able to see the fuller go in there. Gonna keep going until I think it looks cool, and then we'll planish it out. Probably A2. Yep, it could be that too. Could be A2, could be A3, like a flutagon type stuff, or could be, 4140, could be a lot of different things. They work out real well though. I have forged lots of fullers with them. Can I keep it back up? Take a drink real quick. I think this is going to be a cool little EDC Seax here. More than that, it should be good. So on this next one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in here. Tighten down the I didn't think about the fact that by putting the actual tool that's on the bottom of this and locking it into the end bill, that it might loosen the actual bolt that goes down into it. So now we're good there. Put some Loctite on that or something. fuller. Heat it back up. Then do some light, gentle taps on there. Just kind of clean it up. And we're golden. I got 13 knives going right now. 13! Goodness gracious, that's a lot. That's just going to turn out to be good. That's going to be awesome. Your pounds weight is the anvil approximately. That's 112 pounds for that anvil. It's actually really decent size too. It doesn't look much smaller than my 170 pounds. So the one that's right there, that anvil is 170 pounds. That anvil is 136 pounds. This one's 112, and it puts in work. All I'm doing with those light taps is just kind of planishing the depth of that. Okay. Now we're going to heat it back up. We're going to take this out and we're going to clean up the bevels. Careful when you go to grab your guillotine tool. You got to remember you've been using hot steel in that the entire time, so just be careful. The overall experience, I've liked it a lot. I like the profile of it a whole lot. It's not something that I would make myself, which is probably one of the reasons why I like it as much as I do, because it's not a profile that I would typically make, but it's one that I would use. Just because I don't make like a more classic style buoy that often. But I mean, you could tell, anybody that looks at this, how beautiful those lines are. And love the liner color with this. Like the handle profile is subtle. It's comfortable in the hand, feels great. I mean, I wouldn't, again, I wouldn't change anything on it. And then I like the sheath as well. But yeah, I've worn this plenty of times. And I like to show them off. Anytime I have my friends' knives and stuff like that. Okay. We're going to grab the planishing hammer. We don't need to do a bunch of crazy work with this. We're going to grab the block. Get some of that scale off. on this next heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the tip down just a little bit more. So I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to keep using the Planishing hammer, my little auto body hammer that I've had for like 26 years. New handle by two Basterds. So I'm going to be using that to do the rest of the profile and clean everything up. Wait till y'all see the ones I'm working on. Looking forward to seeing those. And perfectly fat really isn't. Yeah, I agree with that. So like with yeah, it is a body working hammer. So like with my main anvil that I've used for the longest time, it's not perfectly flat. It's flat enough, but I have another anvil that I keep super flat for really cool transitions. Now of course I have this one, brand new face on it. That one has a brand new face on it, but that one has a really huge flat face. It's the Vivor anvil, and I like using it. Heat it up, do that one more time. My goal right now is just to bring this down just a little bit more. Of course, you can't see a ton on there because of the forge scale. But like right now, if I keep hammering on it, it'll start popping all that forge scale off. Heat it back up. Drop that down just a little bit more, and then clean up the profile. Make sure the handle's exactly where I want it. But I think all in all, when I get done cleaning it up on the 2x72, it's going to be great. Because I think I need to take about a 1/16 off of the spine where the handle goes into right above the fuller. I'll probably take about a 1/16 of an inch off there. The rest of the profile, I'll barely touch. In there, in there. And I think I'm going to pull the handle up just a hair, tank. Oh, and y'all see this this little adorable forge I'm working on right now? This is half the size lengthwise as my regular forge. It's gonna be a 1 burner, same side burner thing like this right here. Down here, I'm gonna weld a frame for it. I got to get the stuff for it today. I'm gonna work on it this week. A little one burner version of my big forge. Wish we could see what you're working on right now. What are you working on right now? I just pulled that handle up like I said I was going to. So I'm going to do it a little bit more. You can see where we're at profile wise. Now you can actually see the fuller in there. Like I'll be taking a little bit off the spine right here, but I don't want to go too crazy because I don't want to throw the fuller off too much. You can see the fuller right there real well now. But I'm going to pull this handle up just a hair right here. And we do have tapers and full, bevels and all that crap already in there. I just haven't centered everything just yet. I think I'm actually happy with it. Okay, I'm not gonna pull the handle up anymore. I'm looking at it now. And the overall profile of this thing is looking good. Feel short about it. Yeah, whenever actually the after party for this, a couple of pieces of flat bar to the sides of my anvil. Huh. That makes sense. Where you going? Act like you've been thrown in a hot forge and beat on for the last hour. Okay. I still got a little bit of straightening to do, but I want to show you what the profile looks like. That's a full profile right now. So now you can really see the fuller on there. So I'm going to take just a smidge off the spine with the 2x72. But I think with that kind of coffin style handle, Seax profile, whenever I get done doing just a smidge of grinding on this, it is going to be awesome. Then of course we already have the bevels forged. You can see how thin I brought them down right there. So going, you can see that full wedge from how thick they are up by the handle down to the edge. It's awesome having you here, Top. Oh yeah. And even though it's not fully straight right now, this is the tang going into the blade. I still gotta straighten it just a smidge. Which, I mean, on the grand scheme of things, for how I do them, that still needs to be straightened, but a lot of people, that would be perfectly fine to start grinding. But I'm going to go ahead and planish the whole entire thing together. Whew, spicy little bowl right here. Planish this whole entire thing together, and it'll be awesome. What's up, Boris? How you doing? I said that right. So now we're going to take and we're going to clean the whole entire thing up. We're going to planish it the rest of the way. We're really flattening it and straightening it as we're doing this. It's already pretty good, but we just need to go through and get those last little bit of waves out so that I don't have to worry about them during the finishing process. We don't want it super hot when we do this. We want it a little bit cooler because we're just trying to planish and clean up. We're not trying to move a bunch of material. Making sure our edge is centered. Blade's looking good, so now we'll grab it from the blade side. Look all the way down it. We do need to straighten the tang up just a hair, so we're going to throw it back in the forge. Now, one of the things that I tend to do is I leave my tang slightly thicker than my ricasso. And what I'm talking about there is I'll bring the handle from the ricasso back about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch into the tang, and then I leave it thicker from that point forward to the back. And this is a prime example of that. See how thick this section is right here? Well, the ricasso is right here. Ricasso, front of the tang, that right there. I'll leave it a little bit thicker on some of these because I'll start my distal taper and I'll grind up to where I want it to be up here. So if this is the front of the handle right here, I will grind all the way up to about that first pinhole. And then I know that this is the same thickness all the way through here. So as long as I taper it from here back, I can grind all I want up to there and not have a weird gap in the front section up here. So I'll leave it a little bit thicker in here, and then I'll grind it thinner, and do that, especially on my chefs and stuff like that, where I want a nice thin tang. That's a forged chef. For the people that haven't seen them on the channel. Grab this. See where I need to clean it up at. Okay. So I'm happy with that right there. All the way down it. Boom. Nice and straight. And then we got our cutting edge right there where it comes down to that heel. That is nice and centered, and it's even with the tip of here, which of course I'm going to end up grinding that thinner. So that's going to be good, and it is right centered into that. And like I said, this area is slightly thicker so that I can grind up to it. It was awesome having you here, Steve. Using a rasp to clean up the profile in the forging. Yeah, so I use that here and there, but I'll tell you, let me turn this around and put it back in here so I can start annealing. Whenever I get a post leg vise, I will do that more often. But as soon as you put hot steel like that in the jaws of these vices that I have here, as soon as you put it in there, it starts tempering those jaws and soften them up a ton. So I'll do that more whenever I get my post leg vise, and then I'll be doing a lot of that. And I do have some nice vice that I'm going to be restoring here. I got some Wiltons, 2 different sizes, that I'm going to take apart, completely clean them, put them back together, and make new lockdown studs, if you know what I'm talking about. Here, I'm going to grab one of these, show you some of the guns. So this is the small one, of course, but I've got to remake these guys, the posts that go through that. Oh, that's the small one. So yeah, Christ-centered ironworks. What's going on? All right, so let's go ahead and just clean up a little bit of the forge skull. I don't want to go too crazy with this because I don't want to change the profile or misshape it a little bit. I think we're good there. So for the people who just hopped on, forged fuller. Seax, full tang. With bevels and all that jazz. The funny thing is, because of the forge scale and me scrubbing on it and all that, it doesn't look as smooth as it actually is. I mean, that thing has like almost no hammer marks on the blade whatsoever. Yeah. So a lot of this, like, if I finish it, and I like again, for people who haven't seen me forge a knife, that this is typically how they come out right here. If I really want to get after it, that's forged. So forged bevels and all of that. That's how flat I can get it. And that's all by hand. There's no press or anything like that. Wild. I love doing that. Like, that is like, if you can forge it that thin, or forge it like that and get it that smooth, I feel like you're doing something okay in your life. Okay, brought that up to temp. I'm gonna let it anneal inside the forge. Go from there. Yeah, that blade's ridiculous. If I am just trying to hustle through it, if I'm hustling through it and seeing how fast I can get something done, like that right there, you know, I wanted a little bit of the texture up in here because it's going to be ground quite a bit. But like that is a rough one. That's if I'm just getting after it, doing whatever. This one was pretty fast, but still, all you can see is the forge scale is the texture. There's no hammer marks or anything really in that. But like those were me just kind of just getting after it. This one was showing how crazy you can get. You see the transition into the handle? There's like nothing there. It's definitely a wild blade. From that point to the thickest point right here, back down, straight. And that's a big knife to do that too. I mean, it's a chef knife. Okay? Center of my palm, up to my elbow. If I go to my elbow, it goes almost to my fingers. I think the overall length on this is like 17 inches. Nah, it's not 17. Take 17. 15 inches. Overall length on that. But that's basically a chopper chef. What's up, Roland? How you doing? And I still got, of course, all kinds of other stuff that I'm doing off in the other shop over here. I got these, so I've been trying to figure out, here, pull y'all up here. Whoop. All right, so I've been trying to figure out what to do with my leatherworking tools, and at Harbor Freight, they have these like little mini toolboxes, and look at these little guys. These little toolboxes. I've got all my punches for my stitching, and then like all the rest of the stuff. The drawers are magnetic shut. That's pretty cool. So I got 2 of them for a bunch of that stuff. Nice. But yeah, these little guys. Plus, I did the workbench in here. These are kind of like butcher block top things, and those worked out really well. And then, of course, my banner with my face on it and all that. But this is where I'm going to primarily be doing leather work and stuff. I've got my, look over here, of course, got the mini fridge, the TV, you know, my oven for tempering, my etching tool and all that. The war scythe here. This thing stays in here. I'm going to show you all this. So that pretty much stays in the shop. The war scythe. I mean, how cool is it to have that hanging on your wall in your shop? But yeah, that stays up here on the wall. But yeah, getting to use the little thing for that. So one of the things that's ridiculous about me and leatherworking is I have like, so I'm gonna show y'all something. This is how many texturing punches I have for designs. That's like 100 and something. And you would think that I would do more leather work because of that, but leather work's time consuming. I do like leather work, but it's not the thing that I'm focused on right now. I'm still perfecting my knife making, but I do like the ability to, you know, to make a cool sheath whenever I need to. I like having that. Of course, this hasn't had anything really done to it just yet, but it's going to be awesome whenever I finish it. Because the way that I'm going to dye it and stain it, all the fittings that are going to be on it, all of these, I'm going to forge texture the metal for that. They're going to be part of the frame of this. They're going to be forged textured and all of that. I'm going to have one here, one here. They're going to be D-rings that hook on the outside and loop over, and the D-rings are going to be right there. And then, of course, it's going to be stitched and have a whole bunch of cool stuff on it. What's going on? How you doing? So we've got all that stuff going. I'm happy that I finally have this shop back. This is the shop that I started my channel in. So whenever I first started making videos and doing all of that, this is the shop that I was doing everything out of. where my other shop is through this doorway. That shop, this didn't exist. I built this. All that was out here was, there was an 11 by 11 shed. And that's what I did all of my forging in. There was just a small 11 by 11 shed which would fit in the corner of this shop. But everything through this doorway, the only thing I didn't do was the concrete. I had somebody come and do the concrete because I had in plans on getting a power hammer like I have now. And I wanted the concrete to be thick enough to be able to have the power hammer not destroy it. And had the concrete poured, and then I built all of this on the channel. So now I have the shop that y'all are inside of, and the shop that's out here. And then y'all are inside my old shop. This is the original frame for the original workbench that I had. I used to have my grinder right here for a little bit, which is why that wood, it looks like that. And then I had my drill press over here too. But now I have it set up for doing leather work. I've got a couch that's going in here. But it is so cool to be able to walk through the wall now and go into the main shop. And then the thing that I'm about to start working on, I'll show y'all the chaos of the outside of my shop. So this is something y'all like never see. This is the outside of the shop. All of this is going to be closed in. That this whole outside pad area is getting covered just like the shop. So I'm bringing the roof of this all the way to the edge of this, and that's going to be a grinding room. So that's the outside of the shop right now. So, and then this doorway that I used to use is going away. And I'll just be using the main doorway. I'll be using the main doorway that goes into the shop that y'all are inside of right now. And then the doorway going into the grinding area. So, it's gonna be pretty cool. I have fun doing all this, you know, having the whole entire shop space and having everything is just awesome. I'm happy that I have it. But when it comes to everything that we're doing today, I got to get back to working on that sheath. I'm gonna eat a little bit of food, start working on that sheath, and call it good. I got to be at work at 5 a.m. in the morning. Got about a 1 hour commute to get there. So I'm going to finish doing stuff, try and go to sleep so I can get up at 3:30 in the morning and go to work. Gotta love it. All of us got to have a job, you know what I mean? But I'm going to go ahead and end this right now. Go inside, eat some food. I will catch y'all next week. If I go live at the event that I'm forging at, I'll let y'all know. Like I said, I'm going to be Sunday at 5 a.m. is when I have to be there. So I have to leave the house by about 4 a.m. So that means I have to get up by about 3:30 a.m. Because where my first stop, because I work for Pepsi, my first stop is about an hour away from where I live. But yeah, y'all go and hang out with Duck Rabbit for a little bit. Check him out, watch his live. If I go live next week at that car show, I will let y'all know. Just gotta be careful because I know they're gonna have a whole bunch of music and that will demonetize this. But you know, if it does, it does. It's not a big deal. These live streams don't make hardly anything money wise. I just do them to help y'all out, and luckily my sponsors take care of me for all the other stuff that I do, and them sponsoring a lot of the tools makes it to where I can actually do this, and so it's nice. I love it. Guys, we're gonna end it here. I will catch y'all next week. If I do, I'll let y'all know. Y'all go check out Duck and go watch his live stream. All right, I'll catch y'all later. See you later, Duck. I'll tune in for your live stream too, but I'm gonna go get some food. Bye, y'all.